It's a good cup of tea.
Damn fine cup of tea, Elaine. Damn fine cup of tea. Do you know what? Our last video did pretty well.
I was really proud of that.
People saying, you know, how much they enjoyed it and
Everyone was
everything.
so nice.
And do you know what? Some people have said apparently we're quite a bit like shut up and sit down. Which is not a bad thing. I mean, they're pretty good.
No, but maybe we should avoid doing things they do.
Yeah, like less bears in the video. I still don't know what to review next.
No, neither do I.
There's all this expectation to live up to.
Sorry.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I think maybe I'm having a vision again.
Oh no, last time you had a vision we ended up in Budapest, locked up in a goulash factory.
It's different this time.
Still have nightmares about bell peppers.
No, it's really different. This time I'm getting like a murder in an attic.
Columbo board game, we should review the Columbo board game.
No, I'm getting like catfish and a guy on a bicycle with a chimney sweeps brush and Colonel Mustard?
Oh my god, no! Cluedo? We have to review Cluedo? Hello. I am wearing a silly hat. Now the reason I'm wearing a silly hat is because Elaine said to me, you look a bit like a tramp in it. And that got me quite excited because I am an avid supporter of the homosexual movement. Now the other reason I'm wearing a silly hat is because today we're reviewing a game that's set in Victorian France of all places, and it's called Mysterium. And yes, I know it doesn't even say Mysterium on the box. It says Polish words that I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce. And well, people, as it turns out, are so excited about Mysterium that they're going out and buying the Polish version because the English one is not out yet, and this is language independent. Mysterium is a party game, and to me that sounds like... Okay, I really enjoy party games and their social aspect, but they never resonate deeply with me. They never get me really excited about them because the mechanics tend to be quite shallow and not very complex. And such seemed to be the way with Mysterium until I sat down and played it. And the one thing I've discovered about it is that it is actually quite deep and complex. And the reason for it is because the mechanics and the complexity are not hidden in the rulebook, but on the art of the cards.
In Mysterium, one of you plays a ghost and the rest of you play psychic investigators. Now the ghost has been wrongly accused of murder and is doomed to haunt this house forever. And the psychic investigators are going to try and exorcise this and put the ghost to rest and find out who the real murderer is. But not only are you trying to find out who the murderer is, you're trying to find out where the murder took place. It could be in any of these places. And you're trying to find out what the murder weapon was. Was it a poison letter? Was it a frying pan? Now the ghost obviously knows who the real murderer is, but you know, he's a ghost. He can't just rock up and have a chat with someone. So as the ghost, you get this uber deck of dream cards because as the ghost, you're going to try and infiltrate their dreams. But the hard part is, how are you going to try and give them dreams that tell them exactly where the murder took place or who it was? You know, are you going to give them the dream where they're running through a field naked? Are you going to give them a dream where they're having a naughty experience with Terry Wogan? Who knows? You have to try and work out which dream cards to play for the best, and you only get 7 at a time as the ghost. And not only do you have to try and work out which ones you relate to the place or the person or the weapon, you have to try and think, what do the other players going to think? What is best for me to play that they're going to work out what the right thing is as well?
And then you go into the person's dream and you do some karate stuff and then the walls close in and then you go into the dream within the dream and there's like a spinning top and you know, like you have to watch whether it's going to like stop or... It's the thing. It's really it is the thing. It is, isn't it? No, the thing. We don't often talk about board game art in our reviews, aside from the rare mention that art might be fought, because you as an audience don't need a reviewer to tell you how you feel about how something looks like. You can just look at it for yourself and decide whether you like the art or not. But with Mysterium, we are kind of backed into a corner because art is such a big part of this game. And I think it's pretty safe to say that the art in Mysterium is surrealist, and maybe not necessarily on these location cards or these character cards, but definitely if you look at one of the dreams, you can tell it has surrealist influences. And to me, that means a lot. And there's this sort of faint connection, because I often felt like only recently did board games develop an actual narrative. Like, if you look at classic games like Monopoly or chess or Go, if there is a narrative, it's very faint, and most often they are abstract. And suddenly in the 70s, D&D comes along, and there's an actual story, an actual narrative within the game, and everything changes. And D&D borrowed a lot from this book by Borges called The Book of Imaginary Beings. Borges was a Latin American magical realist writer, and magical realism within itself borrows a lot from surrealism, and there's that connection for me. And I think that's why when I play Mysterium, I don't feel like I just played a game. I feel like I've had an experience. And you might be thinking, Efka, you're talking a lot of tush, and that's completely fine. But to me, when I play Mysterium, I feel like I'm doing more than just playing a game. I feel like I'm going through something different.
Being a ghost ain't easy. You can't talk, but you're trying to work out with the investigators who the real murderer is. Sometimes you will get a great hand, a perfect card. Say you're trying to get them to dream about the musician. What better card than the organ? That's it. There's no other person that can relate to this organ. That is going to be in their dream. It has to be them. Although you might get a card that you think is perfect. Say you're trying to get them to dream about the drawing room, and you say, right, I picked this card, I've got this one, they have to dream about the drawing room. Right, Blue, you are dreaming about the fat mouse playing chess tonight. There is a chessboard here, there's a chessboard there, great. Then Blue goes, they must be talking about the attic because there's a checkerboard here as well. And you think, oh my God, what did I just do? I'm an idiot ghost. And they get it wrong. Sometimes as well though, you might get a card like this, a fried egg in the shape of a bear with some ladders, and you think, how the hell am I going to ever fit this in anywhere? But then, oh wait, there's a frying pan that, it can only be the frying pan. They're going to dream about the bear and the egg, and it's the frying pan. And then they go, it's the fork, it has to be the fork, because you eat eggs with forks. And you think, you're an idiot. So it can be really, really tough, and the difficulty comes because there are so many different elements in each card. There's oven gloves and toys and bottles and eggs and ladders and bears and fish and cats and trees. And sometimes it can lead you to overthinking it a little bit. In one of our games, all the association was there was a window in both pictures. And they were trying to go through, they were saying, is it toy cars, or is it maybe checkerboards or wreaths? And I was going, no, it's the window, what are you doing? And that's why it can be really frustrating, but it's really, really fun at the same time.
As a player, a psychic investigator, because that's so much better, you're going to have to work through your clues in a certain progression. First, you're going to have to figure out what suspect has been assigned to you, and once you've done that, the ghost is going to send you clues about the potential location, and finally you're going to have to figure out the murder weapon, and that might just be a ninja star, which for some reason existed in the 100 years before Victorian France. And not only that, you're going to have to do it in 7 days. And actually, that's not it. You're not just going to have to do it in 7 days. Once everyone's worked through their potential list of suspects and locations and murder weapons, you're going to take those lists of people, places, and weapons, and the ghost is going to choose one secretly that is the actual murderer. And then the investigators will receive 3 clues between them, 3 dreams. And that's all you're getting. And you have to guess which is the right one. And again, all of that has to fit in within 7 days. And that's really hard. That is very, very difficult. And that's good, because this is a cooperative game. And cooperative games have to be difficult. They have to be challenging. Otherwise, they get boring. And that's just the easy difficulty. There are many difficulties in this game, and they add more potential cards, more potential locations. And with that, within each card, so many more details. And that adds so much more complexity and replayability within the game, because after a certain time you might develop a metagame with the people that you've played, because of course, this window card with some keys refers to the teacher, because there's little children's shoes, and you know this, you've played this card before, it makes sense. So the more and more things you add, the more difficult it gets and the more exciting it becomes.
As we said, the English version isn't out yet. It's only out in the original Ukrainian and also in Polish. But as the game is completely language independent, there's no words on the cards. It really doesn't matter. You can buy the Polish version, download the rules in English from Portal Games and play it like that. It's fine. Essentially though, the Polish and Ukrainian versions are the same except for some minor rules differences, and also the components in the Ukrainian one look a bit better, because instead of having these wooden cubes and beads, you get nice crystal balls and things, and although that's nice to look at, it actually doesn't change the game. There is also, talking of rules changes, the Rado variant, which I've heard is infamous, and we will link it in the description box down below. You might want to wait for the English version to come out though, but it's going to be a bit different. Again, it's going to have a semi-co-op mode, and also the artwork is going to be different on the cards, which is a bit mind-blowing. So really, you've got a choice here. You can either hunt down this mega rare Ukrainian version, buy the Polish one, which we've done, or you can wait for the English one to come out, and that's up to you.
Just like Elaine, who's stolen my hat, Mysterium has stolen my heart, and I'm not ashamed to admit, I am in love with this game, but not the sort of, oh my god, I so love this game kind of love. No, it's like a, gentle summer day when you're walking down a park and you see this girl and your eyes connect for a brief moment, and you say hello and she says hello, and you just walk off and she smiles maybe, and you share this moment, and you might not even remember what she looks like, but that feeling always remains there, and that to me is Mysterium.
And it's great because you can play it really with anyone. I mean, we played it with my grandma.
How old is she?
She's like 80, and my parents as well. We played it with friends, and everyone just really enjoyed it.
And you don't even have to be 80 to play this game. You can be 8. For example, it's completely fine, because all you have to do is you have to say, this is Cluedo plus Dixit, and people will get it. It is not really Cluedo plus Dixit, it is so much more than that, but people will just get it just like that.
I know what you mean, yeah.
Yeah, and on the buy, play, or silly stay away scale, this is very, very strong buy.
And a buy for me too. And even if you don't want to play the game, just buy it for the artwork, buy it for the cards, stick them on your wall, look at them before you go to bed, dream about them.
Batman! Guys, you completely blew our minds away. It was mad.
Thank you so much.
There are so many of you subscribed, and if you haven't subscribed to us yet, then you should click this button right over here. And if you have, then do us a favor and find us on social media like Twitter and Facebook, and like us there, because believe it or not, it's a silly thing, but when you're making board game videos or any kind of videos on YouTube, it's actually really important, because then we can, when I said like we're gonna grow a board game army last video, I was just messing about,
but we are.
Yeah, because your response was insane, and so help us do that.
It's fantastic, thank you.
And just click those silly things, and we're gonna do this thing together.